Hey there, welcome to day 256 of our BU 365-day challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and our topic today is intention, communication and intention. What do they have to do with one another? According to this card from one of those decks I love so much, it just says intention on the front, and on the back it says determine clearly what you want. We need to focus on what we want and be thinking about what we want, at least in the back of our mind, subconscious level, all the time, because that moves us toward the things that we want. So I did a little research yesterday and dug deeply into the topic of intention. Intention specifically with respect to communication. Communicating with intent is being aware of the purpose and the implications of your communication. So if you're having a conversation with someone, before we start talking, we want to know, why are we opening our mouths? Why are we even having a conversation with this person? And it isn't always on a conscious level. There's four different types of intent. One is purposeful, meaning we plan ahead exactly what we want to say. If we're giving a speech or a presentation, or we're wanting to convince somebody of something, we're going to think ahead of time, what is our intent? What do we want the outcome to be before we begin that communication? Knowing communication, knowing what we want, knowing ahead of time the result we want to get is another type of intent. Reckless intent and negligent intent are those types of intent where we go into conversations, we go into communications, and we don't think at all ahead of what our intent is, and we don't necessarily care about the outcome. So if we're having a fight or an argument with someone, we seldom, if ever, in a highly charged emotional state, think ahead of time about what is our intent, what do we want out of the conversation, what do we want out of the communication and the interaction. We just go in recklessly or negligently. Recklessly, without thinking about it ahead of time. Negligent, to me, is the difference between we're just doing it and we don't really care or even consider what the outcome might be. We don't consider the consequences of the communication. And when we go in recklessly or without thinking and just reacting emotionally or negligently, not caring what happens, chances are the outcome and the result of that communication is not going to be what we want, and it probably might not even be in our favor. So there are four different types of intentions that we go into different situations with, and one of those is our communication. There's three steps to intention and applying intention to our communications. One, listen actively. Listen carefully and actively to the conversation and what the interaction is. Two, decide that you want to have an open and a healthy dialogue, right? I would say arguments and fights do not fall into the open and healthy dialogue category. And three, choose the right format. Choose the right everything. The timing, the format, the tone of voice, the words, all of the elements that go into a good message. Make sure that you're choosing those properly and appropriately for the situation. So communicating with intent is just basically thinking about what we want out of a conversation or a communication, as well as what we want the implications of that conversation to be. A lot of times, and I would say the vast majority of us, the vast majority of the time, do not consciously become aware of or think about our intentions behind the conversations that we have. Maybe if you're asking your boss for a raise, or if you're having a sensitive discussion with your significant other, you'll have thought a little bit about it ahead of time and intended the outcome that you want. But for the most part, the vast majority of our conversations and our communications, no matter what form they fall into, written, oral, emailed, social media, text, letters, if people still write letters these days, a lot of times we don't think of what's our intention? Why are we even having this communication? Now, sometimes we do think of the intent. When we send thank you notes, when we send cards, when we send appreciation, when we celebrate people, we're doing that with the intention of making the world a better place, making the communication and the interaction, the relationship better. So sometimes we do, but the vast majority of the time, I would say we don't do that on purpose. I'm just looking quickly at my notes to see if I'm missing anything. Oh, the other thing about this is a lot of times we don't think about it, but our personal goals and our egos and our desire to be right, because down deep, all of us want to be right? We want to be right at least part of the time, if not all of the time. There are people that think that they need to be right all of the time. And when we go into conversations and communications with that, even if it's a subconscious intent, it colors the communications, and chances are we're not going to get the results that are best for us when we're going into every communication, every interaction with that underlying, I got to be right and I've got to have my personal goals and objectives met every single time. Because guess what? Just like everything else on our journey in life, things are up and down, up and down. Some things work out perfectly for us, other things not so much. It's absolutely true of our conversations as well. So today, our challenge is a pretty easy one. As we're having our conversations today, at least 3 times today, before you open your mouth, think about what is the intent of the communication I want to have, or what is the impact and the result I want to see out of this communication. Whether it's an email, whether it's a text message, whether it's a comment on social media post, whether it's a conversation, whether you pick up the phone and talk to someone or talk to somebody face to face, before you start that conversation, give a couple of seconds, and if you're brave, give a couple of minutes to thinking about, well, what is my intention of having this communication? And if it's a more formal communication, chances are you are already thinking about your intention, the results you want, the way you want it to go, the source you're using and the way you're communicating, the words you're choosing, etc. But like I said, the vast majority of us, me included, just go about our day, go about our life, behaving in the ways we've always behaved and not consciously thinking about it. So today, our challenge is to at least 3 times today, before we communicate, think about what's my intent? Why am I even participating in this conversation? Maybe it's just you're saying hello to strangers as you're going about your walk today. And normally you don't say anything. You just walk with your head down and you're just in your own little world. But today you want to connect with people and let them know it's a beautiful day and you appreciate them and you're just happy to be alive and out walking. And so you're just going to say hello to people. Well, that's thinking about your intent ahead of time. That's it. Share if you're brave in the comments below something that happens as a result of intentionally thinking about your intention in the communication before you have it. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with another communication related topic for this month. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow.